Hello and welcome back to MEF Connects Wholesale. Thank you very much, Nasia, and thank you for all your panelists. It was a very insightful session. Truly, I take away a very interesting comment at the very end of the session with regards to value of data, that the gold mine that data represents, and the analytics side and what we can do with it. So, topic to be continued. I think a lot we heard, and that came back again, security, etc. But a lot to talk about when it comes to IoT, and certainly we had 2 sessions today. But we'll make sure that we keep and we value even greater the IoT piece in our wholesale discussions. Swiftly moving on, I would like to spend a bit of time on looking at the at the enterprise business. We know that the wholesale business is increasingly serving the enterprise space, and that enterprise is becoming a key element. Yet the wholesale industry, with its specific DNA, is certainly eager to tap into this large market. But how can it do it? And bearing in mind that enterprise market, what is the best approach? What are the challenges that we are facing there? So to be able to discuss this, I have 4 great panelists joining me. So I'll call them. So we have Deshbandhu Bansal, who's the COO of Messaging Solutions at Comviva. Deshbandhu, welcome. Hi. Should I call you Desh or Deshbandhu? Whatever you prefer. I can't hear you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Yeah, you can call me Desh, Suzy. Nice to be here.
Desh. Good. Thank you very much. Then we have Yasser Waheed, Director of Global Carrier Relations at Telesign. Thank you very much, Yasser. Welcome. Hello.
Hello, everybody. Joining from Miami on behalf of Telesign. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much for joining us, and good morning then. And we have Carlos Villanueva, co-founder and Chief Revenue Officer from Enable. Carlos, where are you calling us from then?
From Belgium. Hello, everyone.
Hello. Sunny Belgium?
Yeah, today it is.
And last but not least, Taha Jiwaji. Taha, hello, calling us founder and CEO of Beem. Hello, Taha. You're on mute. Hello, I hope you can hear us. You look a bit frozen. You look a little bit frozen. Okay. Hope all is okay. So let's start with this conversation. So before we move into the topic. Hi, Taha. So before we move into the topics of looking at what it takes for a wholesaler to be successful in this particular environment, I'd like to first of all confirm with you, is the enterprise a big opportunity for wholesale? And if asking you all this question, I'd like to also ask you to give us a little bit of an insight as to what your company is doing, so that we also understand where you're coming from when addressing this topic. So if I can ask Desh.
Yeah, Suzy. So hi everyone. I'm Desh, as Chief Operating Officer at Comviva. Comviva is a technology product company into multiple areas, but the cloud communications area, which is we are technology enabler for aggregators, wholesale providers, enterprises, and telcos, providing CPaaS platforms, hubbing platforms, messaging, firewalls, and keeping the whole ecosystem secure and helping the ecosystem monetize it much better. So that's what we do. And we believe that there is a shift where the wholesale carriers are looking at enterprise as an opportunity. It is not an easy one, but definitely we believe it is going to be an area which is going to be hyper growth area in coming years. It will be slow, I think, but if the wholesale carriers evolve in the space in terms of bringing the right technology tools, we believe that this domain will bring hyper growth in the coming years.
In the wholesale approach, would you agree with this, Yasser, and maybe introduce Telesign as well?
Sure. So I'm with Telesign. Telesign is well known in the industry to actually be servicing the enterprises for messaging. We have digital identity solutions. So there's a suite of options that Telesign has been developing over the years. Predominantly, we do see enterprise as the way forward for a lot of the industry. It's the lifeblood of A to P, obviously. Wholesale needs to be cognizant more of the opportunity of enterprise, because this is where the dentists, the bigger aggregators in terms of who can bring together omni-channels, CPaaSs, they already service this industry for the enterprises, and A2P has only been seeing growth because of the enterprise. So I totally agree with Desh. This is continuing to grow, and we just need to be able to nurture it and continue nurturing it so that we all remain in this business in a healthy manner.
Carlos, you were part of a carrier organization in the past, and you've developed your own business to really focus on the enterprise, of serving that enterprise needs. Can you just give us a bit of an insight as to where you stand? Where do you see that shift? And obviously, I think a lot of us know you, but if you could also give a few words on Enabled.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So at Enable, we are basically a technology company. So we are technology enabling service providers when it comes to communications, identity, and payments. So we come to market to help our customers reducing the complexity of technology in the communications industry on the wholesale side, but also on the enterprise side. We help our customers everywhere, say, in the world, because we use the cloud technology to bring flexibility on the technology side, but also on the commercial side. When it comes to my experience in wholesale, yeah, as you mentioned, I mean, since I would say more than 10 years ago, I heard this topic about and wholesalers tapping in enterprise. It is more than 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Since 10 years ago, many players, especially the tier ones, had a major focus to tap into this market. Some of them were quite successful. Some others, they are still not being successful for different reasons. But the reality is that the market the enterprise market is a major opportunity at the moment for not only for wholesalers, but also for local telecom companies. And why I'm saying this, because as Yasser mentioned, CPaaS players are already engaging directly with the enterprise, with enterprise market, while wholesalers have been trying to do it since 10, 15 years. And their customers today, let's say the operators or the aggregators, who are trying also to tap in this market, they are facing quite a strong competition locally. This is where probably there is an opportunity for wholesalers to help them, to help their customers. So in summary, the opportunity is there, but I don't think it's for everyone, because otherwise, since 10 years, everyone will be already addressing the enterprise market, and that's not the case. So we will discuss through this call a while.
Yes. Taha, thank you very much, Carlos. Taha, would you agree with what Carlos just mentioned? I mean, it's a good opportunity, and it's an opportunity for wholesalers, but not for everyone, and also giving us a bit of an insight as to what Beem is doing and helping in that segment.
Yeah, thanks. Happy to be on this presentation. Beem is a Pan-African CPaaS company. We enable enterprises and wholesale customers to deliver communication services across the continent, across 25 markets. We actually began as an enterprise serving business and then moved into wholesale kind of 5-6 years into our business. So we understand the enterprise business really well. And yes, definitely we see a lot of growth opportunities for in the enterprise segment. But yes, there are many challenges in serving them well. You can serve them, but serving them well, I think, is where the differentiator lies.
And I guess we'll come to that, the serving them
Yeah.
well. But before we jump into this, I heard Carlos said that we've been talking about this for 10 years, and some other players in this ecosystem have been much quicker to jump on this opportunity than some of the wholesalers have been. So trying to understand this, do you think the wholesale industry understands this market very well? And another question related to that is, should they go for all you can get in the enterprise market, or should they be more probably focused, selective, and really approaching it from a pick their battles basically? What do you think typically? I don't know, Yasser, for example. What would be your take at this?
So very interesting question, because this is I would say the holy grail of A2P. Wholesale can only do so much for the complete industry. There's a space for the enterprise, obviously, that the wholesale carriers actually should entertain. Not everyone is a jack of all trades in this industry. It's not easy to bring yourself to a point of being able to offer any country in the world. That takes sophistication, knowledge, compliance, many other factors which kind of dissuade everybody from being able to manage A2P for enterprises. Hopefully we'll go into some details as to why this is a challenge, but definitely, every wholesaler has in their heart of hearts, I'm hoping, looking out for the enterprise, because for everybody, the enterprise generates these opportunities with their end clients directly. The whole A2P industry is predicated on servicing the end client, you and I, all of us together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very interesting. Would you, Desh, would you agree with what Yasser's just mentioned, and also from your perspective? Well, and again, so do you believe that the industry knows enough about this this enterprise segment? And jumping into the challenges, as this is the core of our discussion, where do you see? Where do you see what are the top 3 main challenges that you believe, the critical challenges that you believe wholesalers need to address to be able to tap into this segment successfully?
Yeah, so I agree with Yasser completely. I think the maturity, while I think the understanding is definitely there in terms of what the market needs, but I think the execution capability is lacking today, and maybe the understanding of how the enterprise messaging can be executed is missing. So the 3 challenges, if I were to ask, one is focus on the enterprise, because they are getting major chunk of the business from the wholesale, and enterprise would be, let's say, a new business line which requires investment, customer acquisition cost, etc. I think it's not the focus area, number one. Number 2, they would not have the right technology and tools which an enterprise would need compared to what they have for a wholesale business. And the third would be, and the most important, the organization people side understanding, the skill set that is needed in a enterprise versus what you need in a wholesale is completely different at all levels, whether it is about operations, pre-sale, sales. I think these are my top 3 in terms of tapping that opportunity and why they've been struggling for a decade.
And that's a good point. I mean, and we did discuss yesterday already the talent crisis already in our business, but even more so when you tap into different segments, such as the enterprise segment, which requires specific skill sets. Carlos, would you agree with what Desh has just mentioned? Would you see those as being the top priorities from where you stand? Where do you position yourself there as enable?
Yeah, I mean, on my view, wholesalers partly understand the enterprise market. I don't think it's fully. And I say this because the majority of where the revenue comes, as I think Yasser mentioned, it comes from A to P. So while there are other major areas of revenue opportunity, for example, cloud technology, for example, integration services, for example, managed services, pricing management, billing. So there are other areas where wholesalers definitely could address or could use to address the enterprise market. But I think we have been as industry, very focused on what has worked so far, and because there is a revenue at the moment, and the reason why I believe wholesalers are not yet going into other revenue areas is because exactly what Desh mentioned. It's first, in my view, you need technology and flexibility, because in order to serve an enterprise, you need to understand, to manage the standards required to address the enterprise. I mean, there is a lot of standardization there that the wholesalers are not used to, because in the telecom industry, we are used to the telecom protocols, how we manage operators, telecom technology, etc. But when we go to enterprise, it's another story, right? Where customization is also required there, and it comes back to the technology, right? So you must have technology and tools, as Desh mentioned, to be able to serve the enterprise, and not only having them, but also making sure that you transfer the knowledge of the wholesale and telecom industry towards the enterprise, because we are assuming here that the enterprise knows what we are talking about, what is A2P, what is SMS, why the pricing is different per country, what is there is no unified price for all destinations, how it works, right? So all this knowledge has to be transferred to the enterprise, so they understand how they can benefit of all the telecom and wholesale capabilities that are in place. Desh mentioned also organization. Fully agree. I think one of the major blocking points, in my experience, since the last decade, has been organization. I mean, wholesalers try to serve enterprise with the same colleagues that come from the telecom background, and which is in this case not the same. It's not anymore the same approach, not the same go-to-market, it's not the same integration needs, it's not the same managed service needs. So it's the organization is a fundamental part to be able to, once you solve the technology, once you solve the knowledge transfer, that organization can effectively serve the enterprise.
Is this to some extent, I mean, we talked about the technology, but coming back to what you've just mentioned, is this a culture shift as well within an organization that needs to happen to really gear everything that is necessary to serve that segment to actually be in line with what the market expects? Carlos, just to
yes, that's correct. That's definitely the point, and here the major issue is that how they can tackle that, right? And there are, in my view, there are also different let's say paths to succeed in this opportunity that can basically help the wholesalers to not only accelerate their time to go to market, because if everyone now is trying, okay, let's go to enterprise, it will take them 10 years again. So, there must be other, go-to-market strategies, exactly, on the technology side, on the commercial side, on the organization side, so they can speed to market.
Same thing. I mean, we talked about technology being a big piece. Organization, more broadly speaking, the DNA of the wholesale environment, which is very different to what is expected on the enterprise side. Are those the priorities that you see as being the challenges that wholesalers have, or do you see do you see other points, other areas?
So maybe I can add to that. I think what we, like all the points that everyone mentioned is very valid. I think what we want to step back one step and say, who is an enterprise, right? Because I think it's very broad, right? The ocean's very big, and are you going to serve software developers? Are you going to serve startups? Are you going to serve traditional enterprises that haven't used this technology before? Or are you going to serve traditional enterprises that are maybe more tech enabled? And what size of organization, which geographies? Like, there's just so many nuances that you need to first figure out who exactly you're serving, and then everything will trickle down from there, right? Whether it's the technology, whether it's the go-to-market plan, the people. Because if you're trying to serve developers, that's a completely different, language that you need to be speaking, and the way your user experiences is completely different than, serving a enterprise, right? Like a software developer expects you to be able to sign up, try something in minutes, and if it works, he'll use it. Whereas an enterprise, you can sign them up for a week. It's okay as long as eventually it works, right? So I'm just giving you an example, but I think that you need to start there in terms of who is the customer.
Who do you want to serve? Who do you
Who
want to
really,
serve?
and who can you potentially serve with, that's within your circle or within reach, because the market's very big, right? And but everyone's trying to attack these customers.
Yasser, just as a final touch on this challenge before we look at what then do wholesalers need to do, but your take at what's been mentioned so far. Do you see a need to focus? Well, is the lack of focus? Is it the problem with technology? Is it a problem with pricing or commercial approach? Is it a problem with an organization? How do you see this from your angle?
So I definitely think there's two keywords in play here: sophistication and scalability. Smaller enterprises, obviously, if the scale isn't large, they just absolutely need the messages to deliver without any hassle. Whether they need to register, wholesale carriers need to understand if there's a level of sophistication they need to address. Whether, say in the Middle East market, you have to register sender IDs to be able to even get the message through, or whether it's a dynamic market where you need to be able to handle dynamic senders so they can deliver intact and unmodified. So there's some sophistication involved as to, as Taha rightly said, it needs to be addressed based on the requirement. Not every enterprise will have the same requirement. Most will want the message to be delivered, but with OTP, is there low latency? Or are you considering that, for lack of a better way of saying it, I'm slamming my key. Why isn't the message going? So the enterprise isn't going to think like a developer. A dentist will not consider a complete CPaaS for their solution unless it's easy enough for them. So you've got to come down to their level, understand, and whether that means explaining the technology involved, or having the solution based on, even now, we're all familiar with the demarcation between domestic and international. So there have been times I know that enterprises are charged quote unquote premium, which they think is being priced at international, when in fact, there might be a reason that they're not actually based in the country of origin, and they're getting a higher price. So there are more things there than meets the eye.
Yeah, very good insight. Thank you. So, just I know we just have 3 minutes left, and we could have spoken about this topic for another half hour. I think it deserves a lot of discussions, but we'll have the next slot, panel slot also is related to this, so interesting one. You know, with the time we have left, what I'd like to ask you is, you know, if you're a wholesaler, if you're a carrier, knowing all you've just mentioned, then I guess prioritization is probably focus, market requirements. Where would you start, Desh?
Yeah, since time is short, I'll keep my answer short. I think one is the strength of the wholesale carrier is that they are connected to multiple countries and reach, and they should target on large MNCs rather than obviously going after the entire enterprise space. And since they lack the consultative knowledge about the dealing with enterprises, partner with solution providers, consultants who can help scale them so that they can taste that success and then build from there. Those are two pieces of advice I would say.
That makes total sense. Would you agree, Taha?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's good suggestions. You need to focus on businesses that are doing multiple countries, and startups that are scaling across multiple countries is another segment that one can focus on. But that how you pitch to them, the user experience has to be really great in that case.
Yes, Sarah, what would you say? I mean, would you say, what would you do? What would you do if you were, tomorrow you take the hat of the wholesaler? I mean, you go for large MNC focus. You go for partnering as well. I mean, it's not one. I guess it's not binary. There's not one option. I guess it's a multiple sets of options that will make you successful in the end. But what would you pick?
Right. Definitely, wholesale carriers should not consider themselves a jack of all trades. You've got to focus. You've got to know where your strength is so that you can actually do the best with the offering you have on hand. And at times, if this isn't something that you're familiar with, though you may have the connectivity and the capability, it might be good to work with specific channels in your market of strength. Allow them to join hands with you and actually service the solution together. Ultimately, I do think that as they step into, meaning the wholesale carriers, as they step into this, hoping they can take a piece of this pie, they also need to recognize now is the time for new innovation. There's AI coming into play. There's authentication and digital identity coming into play. Us as Telesign, we're cognizant that we're having to move forward. So, time is moving on. We all need to be up there and with the level of sophistication as it needs to be with the scale needed.
Thank you, Yasser. Carlos, I'll leave the question we have in the chat with you as a finished one. We have CPaaS providers out there as well. So how can we, close the link, have the links on CPaaS providers, the link between wholesalers and the enterprise segment? How can wholesalers also, play together with CPaaS providers in that case?
No, I mean that's a very valid question, and it's true that CPaaS players at the moment, they are the ones that succeeded so far faster, let's say, to address the enterprise market, and wholesalers should be partnered with them. But as we know, in major regions and countries, CPaaS players are also competing with wholesalers for the same traffic, for the same revenue, for the same customer. So if CPaaS players would be the link between wholesalers and enterprise customers, then that the model should be we should rethink the model, because this is not happening today. So everyone is trying to get a piece of the same cake, but at the same time, everyone is trying to partner with each other. So and that's the reason why in the past, several wholesalers tried to become CPaaS because they understood that there was the best go-to-market to address enterprise. and it's one of them. It's true, but another one is to keep the horizontal layer as they are today, like as it was mentioned already, and let specialist partners to bring customization and to reduce the complexity towards enterprises. So we should, I mean, I think we should not, as an industry, let only the CPaaS players to address enterprise. I think that's not the way. I think the way is, as I said, is to focus on their major strengths as wholesaler, focus there, then onboard partners that can help you to go to market in each country or each region. It could be a CPaaS player, it could be aggregator, it could be a service provider, it could be, name it. It could be an enterprise reseller, it could be a software development company. It doesn't need to be a CPaaS player.
I think that's a good end point of our discussion. So focus on the requirements, look at your core strengths, weaknesses, but core strength as well. Where you have a bit of weakness, partner up and move on. I'm sure we'll be talking more about this topic. We have a CPaaS slot coming up later in this event. But on this particular occasion, I'd like to deeply thank you, all of you. We'll carry on having that discussion, I'm sure, in the future, and you'll be very much welcome to carry on the discussion and see how this evolves over time. So from the MEF side, a warm thank you, and talk to you very soon. Thank you.
Thank you.